more content than your competitors, which, as you alluded to, is not necessarily more individual pieces of content than your competitors, but your content in more places than your competitors. And Google rewards accordingly.
So joining me on the line today, I've got John Daddow from Constantech. Welcome to the call, John.
Thank you for having me, David.
I'm intrigued. I was just talking to John prior to this interview, and he was telling me a bit about his company and how he's evolved this very smart technology that actually automates a lot of the things that people do to get SEO results. So maybe give us a bit of background, John. What sort of led you to developing this?
Identified a pain point, David, with Google saying that content is the best way to do SEO. And the pain point, of course, was, fantastic, who's got the time to do it? So wondered whether it might be possible, drawing on my experience with automation systems, to perhaps alleviate that pain point. And that's where I got to, was that, could do that.
So what you're getting at here is that SEO used to be about being clever about how you set up your website, clever about the keywords, the old days of keyword stuffing and backlinks and all those sorts of things. But I think the SEO companies got smarter, or I should say the search engine companies got smarter and said, really, it's all about quality content. Google
says that content is king.
Yeah.
And they mean that in a literal sense, David. It reigns supreme above all else.
So then what it meant is people reacted to that by saying we need to post more content. And technically true, but what you just touched on was this idea of more content doesn't mean different content. It just means more presence on the internet.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. The being in more places, having your content in more places. Yeah.
Right. And I suppose you stumbled on this because technically I would have thought that Google would pick up on having the same content in more places and say that's just the same content in more places. But I suppose the truth is having more content, the same content in more places, means that you're omnipresent. You're actually out there.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And actually, as counterintuitive as it might seem, Google actually gives you a little extra uptick for putting your content in lots of different places. They see that as you doing the footwork to get your good message to more people in front of more eyeballs. Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the results you're getting.
So they're proving to be as successful as Google says they should be. Really want you to do content. They want you to do as much content or more content than your competitors, which, as you alluded to, is not necessarily more individual pieces of content than your competitors, but your content in more places than your competitors. And Google rewards accordingly.
So I suppose the easy way would be just to cut and paste my content onto everyone's websites or different, like when you say different places, give me some examples.
We always start with video.
Yeah.
And the reason that we always start with video is that you automatically have three forms of content at your disposal. So you have the video, we can copy out the audio as a second form of content, and then we can turn the audio into text, which is a third form of content. If you put a video onto Facebook, for example, then that's in one place.
Yeah.
You can then put that video onto your LinkedIn, and it's now in two places. You can put it on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and in a bunch of different places, and you've only had to create one video. And then the audio we put onto podcast channels and the text onto blog posts.
So it's just literally just the mechanics of someone doing that as a line by line thing would be a lot of work, and having an automated system just literally leverages the content. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, exactly. It's great in theory, but who's got the time to do all of that?
Yeah, cool. So tell me a bit about, obviously you're solving an issue for people in business. You're saying you're time poor, you've got content in your head, you just need to create these videos. By the way, how long are these videos that you're talking about?
Generally 45 to 60 seconds.
And how many of those a week should someone be doing?
3 a week. From all of the research that I've done on probably 40 plus different market verticals. 3 a week. We'll see you doing more than your competitors.
Right. It's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah. 3 1-minute videos a week. Yeah. And all you have to do is just talk about the stuff you already know really well. So
Yeah. And then you guys will, your system posts that and works the magic of making sure that all backlinks to your website. Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah.
Sounds pretty simple. So someone who's struggling with SEO, how do they know that this is going to work for them? What's the sort of trigger points that makes this viable? Or does it just work for everybody?
It does just work for everybody. If your content's useful and you're doing more than your competitors, then yeah, you will get rewarded accordingly. Yeah. Content is king. Yeah, it is surprisingly simple. Yeah. And Google actually, Google says that as well. Don't get, caught up in technicalities and all. It's simple. Just create good content that's useful and do more than your competitors.
So if you saying that as a sales guy of your own product makes sense, right?
Yeah.
How do they prove it? How long does it take?
We like to err on the side of not creating an over expectation and say 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Evidence points to it being more like 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're going to continue to temper your expectation with 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. And what sort of price point would someone expect to pay?
$500 a month, 3 posts a week, video, audio, text for blog posts.
Right. So all they have to do is give you $500 and record 3 minutes of video, and that's all they have to do.
They're 12 minutes a month. Yeah, that's recorded 12 minutes. Yeah, 12 minutes a month, and and $500, and sit back and let the magic happen.
Sounds too good to be true, John.
I know. You think, yeah, well, it sounds too good to be true. It probably is, but it actually is. It is actually simple, and it does actually work.
But how do you accommodate the doubters, the people that say this sounds too good to be true? How do you respond to that?
Provide examples of our work, and we can give them things to search for that they would never have searched for before. The results are going to be untainted, and our customers will show up at the top of the search results for those search terms. Yeah,
sounds awesome. I want to wrap up with what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
To be grateful, actually. Right? Yeah. It ties in with the thing that undoubtedly affects our lives more than anything, and which we speak of not very much, and that's psychology. Being grateful for what we have, being grateful for what we can go out and do and achieve will help prosper that positive mindset and put you in a good place to do good business.
Yeah, awesome. And if you had one piece of advice for people in business right now, what would it be?
Be grateful. And be grateful, and search for the opportunities with that in mind.
Yeah. They say that you can't hold the thought of gratitude and anger at the same time.
That's correct. Yeah.
Same with depression. You can't be depressed and grateful at the same time.
Yeah. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I have to be able to search for new business and what possibilities I can exploit in the future. For that, I am really grateful. Let's go out and see what we can find.
Yeah, awesome. John, really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, David.